We are at the English Sport of Institution. That's wrong, isn't it? Welcome to Weighed In, the show where we weigh in about who's getting weighed in. I am Stevo The Madman, Adam McKola, Josh, Denzel. We are at the English Institute of Sport where the champ, and that's a mouthful, but the champ, Anthony Joshua, obviously he trains here for his domestic fights. And a lot of legends, if you look around the place, there's a lot of legends on the wall. You got Dick McTaggart, obviously.
Terry Spinks, you were named after him.
Terry Spinks.
Yeah. Big James DeGale.
He's not that big.
No? Okay.
A few good up-and-coming fighters, GB team trainer.
Joshua Buatsi.
Jinx. No, but I love Joshua Buatsi. You like Joshua Buatsi?
Joshua Buatsi is a top boy, top fighter.
I'm thinking I want to, I looked at him, obviously. I thought to myself, I'm trying to get back in the game.
Yeah, I think it was a similar weight class.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think I could do him?
Yeah, I think if British boxing wasn't so healthy at the moment, Joshua Buatsi would be spoken about a lot more. And Stevo, you'd be spoken about a lot more, we know that.
Now, boys, today is a special show. Later on in the show, we're going to have the champ joining us for a few questions, pick his brain about the up-and-coming fight. Obviously, he's changed fighters now. Jarrell Miller is not going to be his fight. He's fighting Ruiz Jr.
How we gonna get down? How we gonna get down?
We know a little bit about him, obviously not as much as some of the heavyweights that have been spoken about and all that, but we've seen Andy Ruiz in a few fights. Obviously, he fought Joseph Parker. It was a close fight against him, and he more recently had a good fight as well. So Andy Ruiz is someone that's on the radar, but if we were going to say we want to see AJ in the ring with someone, probably wouldn't be the top names, but that's been the case with the heavyweight division for the early part of this whole year.
Okay, so obviously Jarrell Miller, he's been banned for 6 months, which, yeah, I think it's a bit of a poor ban, but he won't be fighting at Madison Square
How bad's
Garden.
that, by the way? I know you just said, like, really, because all his punishment basically is you missed the AJ fight, which obviously is a massive punishment in itself.
Yes.
Because he's missing out on his biggest payday ever. But is that it, really?
Yeah, his name's already been
6
built.
months for every positive test. Like, the problem is that you have different divisions of boxing. You have different states, different everything. So one state could ban him and another one won't have him banned, and he could fight there. So it does get a little bit messy. Maybe if, you know, there was one kind of governing body that handled the suspensions and stuff, it'd be easier to do. But that's a disgrace. Come on, look. If he went into that fight juiced up on the stuff that he was on,
he could hurt someone.
Three separate performance-enhancing drugs, and that's it. In football, you might run a bit faster, and you might run a bit longer. Your fitness levels. Here, you could cause someone permanent damage.
You're hitting harder.
You could potentially end someone's life in a ring because of your actions. And I think that should be taken much more seriously than it is.
Okay. Well, obviously Miller is an idiot. It's coming from me. I can say that now.
Technical,
I ain't gonna be saying it.
Technical analysis
but
from
bro,
Stevo.
Andy Ruiz Jr, 31-1, the loss came against Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
What do you know about him?
It's obviously he's a big heavyweight. He's gonna come forward a lot.
When you say big, he's
yeah. Well, most heavyweights are big, isn't it?
Yeah,
he's
big.
white.
He's
white.
He's Fred Flintstone big.
Yeah, he's square.
Yeah, he's square. That's very lucky. At a sofa, maybe.
He had the last fight was against Dimitrenko in the last 11 days, so he's fresh from a fight, and it's interesting because we saw AJ last time when he was prepared to fight, and then he had to fight Takam.
Yes, back-to-back camps.
Sorry, and then he had to change opponent. And we saw the effect that had on his fight.
How hard is it
Obviously, they're going to bring different things and they're going to be different kind of fighters. But I think it will be similar in the sense that juiced up Jarrell would have been coming forward a lot, would have been trying to get in AJ's face. And I think Andy Ruiz would be doing the same. So maybe
juiced up Jarrell.
That's his new name. That's his new name now.
Jarrell.
We don't even have to say allegedly. That's how bad it is.
JJ.
Judge. Obviously, so Andy Ruiz is a Californian-born Mexican fighter. So a Mexican-American.
Yeah,
that man is dangerous, bro.
The Mexican style, they come to fight. You know what I mean? It's like hands up. You know what I mean? We're coming for a scrap. You're not going to see him. You're not going to see him kind of get on the back foot. He's going to be on the front foot, coming forward and trying to hurt AJ.
Being on the front foot though, AJ likes that. He's good at dealing with. We've seen him now a few people, and obviously with Perfect King, he bobbed and weaved. This guy's just going to be coming straight. That's easy.
AJ's going to love it.
Is that light work or
AJ, not? It's not going to be light work because you're looking at someone that has got the biggest fight of their life, biggest career moment. He's finally being thrust into the spotlight, and he knows if he can cause an upset or even lose the fight but have a good performance, then he gets pushed into like who's he going to fight next? Come over to England and fight one of our heavyweights, and then he's making a name for himself, and he's making checks for other fights for himself as well with his performance.
Does he get the same check as juiced up Miller would have got?
You'd probably think so, wouldn't you?
Similar. I think similar. Coming in at late notice, he's gonna want a big payday.
When you fought 11 days ago, is that a plus or a negative?
I mean, it went rounds. However, I think that if you're fit coming into a fight, no injuries, and then you carry that on, I think he's somebody that I think that can help. You might be tired, but he will come into the AJ fight fit and ready. It's not like he's had 4 weeks.
It was a convincing win, so he's not coming into it on the back of a grueling, fight where he's been hammered.
Still 11 rounds though.
Yeah, but you don't know how it could affect you positively and negatively.
Yeah.
We still got a month until the fight, so it's not like he's fighting just 11 days.
He's not fighting in 11 days. Yeah.
So it's like he's still got a long time, but it's big ass.
So what are you saying? How good is this guy? Is he better than Miller? Because he took Joseph Parker all the rounds, didn't he?
Miller's been probably juicing for all these fights, and we don't even know. Andy Ruiz, I think, I'd say on par. There's opinion out there that Andy Ruiz is the better boxer. And
he's definitely a better boxer than Jarrell Miller, but it just depends whether he has the power and the size to be able to deal with AJ. And I mean, you saw it with the Parker fight. It was a close fight. He believed he won it. However, Anthony Joshua dispatched Parker in convincing fashion. Even though he didn't knock him out. So what does that say?
The only thing with Jarrell Miller, which I think makes it look like a more difficult fight, is he's brasher and he's a bigger talker, and it makes people think,
who knew Jarrell Miller before the build-up though?
Before Eddie Hearn and all that started really building him up a few years ago.
Yeah. That's when I caught on to him then, but then I stopped following him because there was not much progress really. And he's not the worst. He's not the worst, obviously. But talking of Ruiz, I don't know much about him, but I know there's a few positives. Got a few positives. He's thick set.
Thick set is a nice way of saying it.
With a capital thick.
He's fit. What? Can you do a capital? No, because when you do a fat bumper, you spell fat with a PH.
Yeah.
Is he thick like that?
With a PH.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a PH, H.
There you go. Thick set. Patient. Is he patient?
Do you know what? A lot of his fights do go the distance. Yeah.
Ad has got the jokes today, bro.
Today I'm on fire today. I'm a Weetabix.
Obviously, we know he's a big puncher. But AJ's fought against big punchers before, and he don't even let him get close to him, does it?
I think AJ's skill set is completely is aligned to beating somebody like this. A shorter guy is 4 inches shorter than him. 6 foot. Andy Ruiz is 6'2". He's a stone heavier, so his footwork, he's not as nimble. He's gonna be a target that's quite easy to hit, and when Josh lines up them shots, it's game over.
It's interesting because as well, we saw the video you did with Dan, Spinksy, and AJ. And AJ obviously speaking about how when he fights Dillian Whyte, he's prepared to scrap. When he's fighting other fighters, he's prepared to box clever. And I think AJ has kind of got it all in his locker. When you look at all the heavyweights, AJ is probably the one that is more flexible in terms of how he can fight.
I think I know what the answer is going to be. But I want proper, decisive predictions. What are you saying for this fight?
Can I just say you sounded like a can of Coke opening then? It's like I think Andy Ruiz Jr. is getting weighed in early on in the fight.
Really? I think he's gonna. 4th or 5th.
AJ's behind you, you don't want to be saying that.
Yeah,
really.
he can hear you right now. So if you, what do you mean you wanted Andy Ruiz to win?
Come on.
What do you mean you wanted Ruiz to win? What?
No, wait, don't do that.
Bro,
running around like your
knockout
best friend.
first round, Stevo. That's rude. AJ 1 round. No, I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's like a little bit of time for AJ to work out Andy Ruiz, but I think a stoppage in between rounds 6 and 8.
Okay. Oh, 6 and 8.
Devastating stoppage as well.
I'm saying AJ round 4 on the 6th minute.
The 6th minute of round 4 is round 5.
I reckon AJ round 4, knockout.
You're not going for the minute?
Minute 3.
Right, end of the bell.
Right at the end
on the bell.
2:59. Apollo Creed, Rocky.
I love that. Can you talk about things that I love? Dave Allen.
modern day hero.
Dave Allen is obviously fighting Price.
I think this is a dangerous fight. I'm not going to lie. You know what? I'm scared that Dave Allen's going to lose.
I'm Dave Allen's biggest fan, by the way.
I don't think
You're not.
he's going to lose.
I am Dave Allen's biggest
This
fan.
guy is family.
We'll lace up and get in the ring after.
If we want to scrap it out, we can scrap it out and we'll get Dave Allen to referee.
I would love that because I like watching
We'll
fights.
see. We'll find out who Dave Allen likes more. That's the main.
That's the one.
But boys, you think this is a dangerous fight for him?
100%. Dangerous fight for both
Yeah.
because their stock will
But ain't
drop
every
massively.
fight a dangerous fight?
Yes, but like
Meaning
when
whoever
David
loses
Price, when Dave Allen fought Lucas Brown,
Yes.
I think he was more likely to win than fighting Price.
Interesting.
I just think Price has got one last.
Hurrah. He's
Moment
due
in
a big win, but the problem is every time he steps up to a level, he gets found out, you know, whether it be the nervous energy that drains him in the later rounds of fights, or the fact that, you know, he's not the best at holding a shot. So, but I don't think, you know, Dave Allen's a strong boy, but I don't think he got devastating punch power. We saw him go to the body against Lucas Brown. But
Which surprised me, that did.
Yeah.
Obviously, sometimes you can catch someone, but that was devastating
Have you
body
watched?
power.
I've watched it back in slow motion. And it's quite perfect because
Yes.
in the moment,
Yes.
Dave Allen managed to like keep his composure while he
Yeah.
had Lucas Brown like coming through his face,
Yeah.
and he just swoops down
Yes.
and
Yeah.
just
It's perfect.
like
Yeah.
moments stood
Yes.
still,
Yeah.
and he just picked the shot. It was a perfect shot from him. But with Price, if he allows Price to catch him as much as Lucas Brown was, Price will put him down, and that's what's worrying me.
Price
what
has
Dave Allen
power.
will come out. Will he allow Price to catch him in the hope that he'll get him down with something like that? Because the early rounds, I think David Price will be the favourite. And then if it gets past 4th or 5th, I think that's when Dave Allen will become the favourite.
because I do think that
Slugfest.
Price will gas. He's seen it in all of his recent fights, no matter how fit he is. I think the nervous energy maybe drains him from around round 6, and he becomes a different fighter. And I think that if Dave Allen is still in there and still in with a shot, I think that's going to give him a lot of confidence. I think he'd win it in the late rounds.
Do you feel that being Dave Allen's biggest fans, you must notice this, that every fight he gets better and takes it more serious?
I think he's the kind of, look, we all know people
Yeah.
like that, you know, maybe have their little issues outside of their job or their
Yeah.
careers or whatever, and they can get pulled back into that sometimes. And I think what he's done is great for him is that he's focusing on targets, he's
Yes,
working
exactly,
hard,
yes.
he's maintaining that. Because if Dave Allen goes quiet for 6-12 months, you don't know what Dave Allen's going to come back to boxing after that. So I think keeping himself active, keeping himself busy, surrounded by the right people as well. You got Darren Barker in his corner at the moment, who's been fantastic for him. And it's interesting because his David Price's mate, so he's coaching Dave Allen to beat his mate. It's a weird. It's
That's
a weird.
professionalism at its
But
best.
Dave Allen has fought, you know, Lucas Brown, who was his friend. He became friends with Dillian Whyte. He's
Yeah.
friends with Dave Price. I think he just wants to beat up all his mates.
Yes. Dave Allen said it's not going past 4 rounds.
Wow.
So he's obviously confident. Where does he get the confidence from?
Where does Dave Allen get his
No,
confidence
but
from?
I'm serious. Like, is he feeling? Can you see
I think
it?
if,
Is there a glint in his
because
eye
if you
where he
look at
feels
David
himself?
Price, look, it's clear that he's on the tail end of his career. Same with Lucas Brown. And I think Dave Allen said, there's that video going around of him calling out David Price from 3 years ago. And he just said himself, if I fought him then I get bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's the truth. I think if they're both at the same age and the same points in their career, I think it's a true, like, who's going to win, you don't know.
Exactly.
But I think it's a little bit in Dave Allen's favour because of the fact David Price on the way down. Dave Allen's probably at the best that he's been in his career.
Yeah,
at the
absolutely.
moment.
He's taking it seriously. Like, I remember I sat down with him a few weeks ago before his fight with Lucas Brown. He said before the Dillian Whyte fight, he'd gambled away his entire purse. So he walked to the ring knowing he wasn't going to get paid. He was saying that before he fought, I think Leroy Thomas, he was on the table in Yates's 3 hours before the fight.
Is it?
3 hours before the fight, he was on the table in the pub in Yates handing out drinks. And so, like, that isn't someone who's not taking it seriously. He's completely changed his life around and his mindset around. So no wonder he's confident.
That Whyte Riaz card is building up very nicely. I mean, obviously we had a kind of mixed reaction to the announcement of Whyte against Riaz. But I think for those in the know in boxing, they're quite excited by the fight, and it's a big risk for Dillian Whyte. But I think that card could stack up to be a beauty. We remember the Parker against Whyte card. That's one of the best nights of boxing that I've attended. Like, it was an amazing night. And if it can live up half as much to that, it'll be a great night.
How we gonna get down? How we gonna get down? How we gonna get down? How we gonna get down?
Good to
see you, lads.
Triple champ.
Triple champ.
Is this a quadruple champ?
Hey, you know what? I stay winning.
Manifest, cuz.
I like
Manifest.
it. Or this is the quadruple champ.
No. He's been taking L's recently.
He took a few.
big
More
L.
hours and miles recently.
What's going on? It's just everywhere I'm going, I'm just catching L's. It's okay, champ. Like, me and the champ said we're going to have a talk after, but it's okay, man.
Yeah, you two could settle your issues later on.
We'll settle issues. But champ, how has it been? Obviously, change of fighter. Yeah. How is that for you? Is it difficult?
Do you know what? As a fighter, it's a blessing because I can keep my blinkers on and stay focused on the task ahead. But for the team behind, working effortlessly to come up with an alternative opponent, looking at the next best in the ranks, they found it difficult. But we finally got someone in Andy Ruiz. He's Mexican, game fighter, comes to fight. And it'll be a tough challenge. And that's what I've got to expect. I was expecting that from Miller, and I would expect that from anyone in the division.
Why? Like you look at Ruiz. Okay, yeah. He's a shortish, 6'2". Yeah. Quite a large individual. A lot of the boxing fans who maybe not purists might not see why he poses a danger to you. How are you preparing for him? You've been training to fight Jarrell Miller, and now you've got somebody like Andy Ruiz in front of you.
Ruiz can fight, man. He's punch selective. He knows what he's doing. Doesn't waste shots. And when he punches with authority to knock you out. That's his game plan. He's not in there to win by points decision. So, as I said, I feel like anyone who knows how to fight and underlying has got heart and grit, which I think Ruiz does, will be a tough challenge. So June 1st, I've got to kind of show myself that I'm above and beyond these fighters as well.
How does it feel though, like, because you were getting in this preparation mode for Miller, you had him talking all sorts of nonsense in the press conference. He was even suggesting you were doing what he was doing. Like, don't you just sit back and laugh to yourself that you had these guys so shook he was injecting himself in all sorts?
It's crazy. No, it is crazy, right? Because imagine, like, what would happen if they found out after. So imagine fighting the guy, and I'm thinking, coach, this guy's tough, he's non-stop. My coach is like, come on, Josh, keep on going. But I don't know that he's filled up to his eyeballs of all sorts. And
everything under the sun. Everything under the sun.
So him being on whatever. So I didn't assume he was on anything because we base our foundations off of, like, hard work, Olympic boxing. No one in this room here is on anything. It's an Olympic team. But I think him accusing me, because he must have based his foundations off of what he was doing. So that's probably why he was accusing me.
A lot of people were saying, Ruiz, 11 days ago he had a fight, he's jumping back in the ring with you now. You got to give him a lot of respect. But I'm like, bro, a lot of money makes you jump in the ring 11 days, but do you respect him for coming in the ring or taking the fight 11 days? I know it's not in the ring, but do you respect that?
Massively. Because we approached various fighters, and some of them weren't interested, saying they haven't got long enough to prepare, and other reasons and other excuses. But Ruiz stepped up to the plate. So anyone who puts their name on the dotted line, you have to respect. You know what I mean? And as I said, he knows what he's doing. He's a good fighter. He's not just a replacement from the local pub.
New York, first time fighting over there. First time fighting out of the country.
Since 2012 was the last time I fought.
In the pro ranks.
Never in the pro ranks.
Yeah, in the pro ranks.
Well, Cardiff.
Oh, yeah, I don't really count. That's up the road.
No, but it is.
You don't need your passport. He's
right. It's a different country.
You ain't getting a flight. You don't count.
You can. I caught a flight to Leeds.
Yeah, so we're actually going to travel this week because I want to really acclimatise properly. Because I think where I'm in such a routine in the UK, what happens is that I'll go abroad, time zone, jet lag, training at different times. I just feel like I really want to settle in. I don't want to leave anything to chance because it's my debut in New York, so I want to get it perfect. I want to get it right.
Is that a distraction? Like, you know when you have to go, it's almost like a break. You've done the same camp over and over again. You know how it works. You know how it runs. You've always won your fights convincingly. Is it now? Yeah, at home. Yeah. Now you're on somebody else's soil, somebody else's town.
100% it's a distraction. That's why I would say if you was a fighter or you're managing a fighter, I'd always advise don't go abroad unless it's worth your while because you're really going to disrupt everything that you've got here. You've got your family, your friends, your training set up. And it costs a lot. You're traveling, all expenses, hotels, flights. We've got to take out a big team. So all these things that you have to take into consideration when you're fighting abroad, but this is the level we're at and this is what I choose to do. And we're on the road to undisputed, really. That's actually where we're going. So this is
that.
Hashtag that. You have to hashtag that. So this is like part of that journey. This is going to the States, announcing my name there. So when that Wilder fight happens, it's big business.
Do you feel a different pressure going to fight in front of an American audience? Because we know that if you have a fight and it's maybe an off night but you win, we can accept it because we know you.
Yeah, but not out there.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. Even if I go out there and I beat Ruiz and I stick behind the jab and I'm too good with my feet and it goes 12 rounds, they're not going to accept that. I think what they want to see is, you know, blood, him get hurt and take him out. I think that's what I have to do when I go out there, is that I'm back to basics. I'm the challenger. I'm not out there as a champion. I've got to go out there and kind of announce myself to a new audience, 100%.
Can I ask you this, champ?
Yeah.
So when you went out there, I don't know if it was the first time, but you went and spoke to Charlamagne. Yeah.
Ooh.
And
I watched that one. I
watched the Breakfast Club, and he gets on to people and he was saying a lot of stuff about you building up, siding with Wilder and all of that. Did you go there and think to yourself, you know what? Let me go there and show him what I want?
He asked some tricky questions, but at the same time, it was a blessing because it was time for me to announce myself and hear it from the horse's mouth. Yes. Because I think they've always heard it from Wilder's mouth. Yeah. He ducking, he dodging. I want Joshua to this tight. All of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? So in my head, when man was 2 years ago, he was doing all this. So I thought he's serious, but we still ain't fought. So I kind of went out there and I said, look, he's done a great job PR-wise, talking about me, but now he needs to step up to the plate. And instead of that, fighting me or fighting Dillian, he's gone and fought Brazil, who I fought. Listen, the longer he leaves it, the worse it is for him because he ain't getting any better. He's been doing it 10 years, 11 years. The longer he leaves it, the more I'm going to mature as a fighter and it's only going to get tougher. The fight's going to happen, so I can never kind of put too much pressure on myself. It is what it is, so I'm going to roll with the punches. I'm going to do my best on the night. You know, honestly, I'm going to pray, give it my best and pray for the best outcome. And that's me winning. And what more can I do, bro? I'm preparing. I've been doing it for years. Go out there, make a good account of myself. And then we're on to the next one.
People, remember, if you enjoyed this, subscribe, like, leave a comment. Who will win out of me and AJ?